I'm at the Israeli Knesset sitting with Bibi Netanyahu, a wonderful friend of mine, and I'm praying today that God will bless Israel mightily. This is a nation struggling today for its survival. You and I have prayed for Israel repeatedly, and I'm asking you today to continue praying for the peace of Jerusalem. But please, first, the importance, the evangelicals. Why is that important to Israel?
Well, you know that we are celebrating our 60th anniversary of the rebirth of the modern Jewish state. Now, I think that it would not have been possible to reestablish the Jewish state without the support of many Christian Zionists.
Yep.
In the 19th century, in the 20th century, some of the great names that we know, for example, Lord Balfour, who was the secretary, the foreign secretary of Great Britain, who wrote the Balfour Declaration, which helped launch modern Zionism. He was steeped in these Christian traditions. Lloyd George, the Prime Minister of Britain, he was steeped in these traditions. Winston Churchill after them, and before them, during Queen Victoria's time. There was a great sentiment that then radiated also from Britain to the United States that said, we want to see the realization of the prophecies of old, that the Jews would gather the exiles and come back to their ancestral homeland and build their life anew. And so this was a widespread feeling in the non-Jewish world, in the Christian world, that created political support for the Jewish national movement. And so Jewish Zionism was preceded by Christian Zionism and helped make it possible. Now in the 60 years since the rise of the Jewish state, there's no question that we have tremendous friends in the world, in the Christian community, in people who see the story of Israel not merely as a democracy struggling against a sea of despotism, but also as a parable of history. Can the Jewish people do what was foretold in the Bible? Can we come back and achieve this rebirth? Can we gather the exiles and rebuild our life anew in the city of Jerusalem? And for many, this is not merely a political question, but a question of faith and destiny, our confidence in the future, our confidence that a people that have been smashed by history can come back to life. And so they see in the story of Israel not merely our story, but their story as well. And I believe that we have no better friends in the world. Do we need friends? Yes, we do. Yes. Because we are all being attacked by this great, by this ideology of hate, of militant Islam that sees Israel, the United States, as representing a hated culture that they want to eradicate with terror and jihad. And of course, Israel is on the front lines. So while we have achieved so many things, we're being attacked again and again by this force that seeks to attack also the United States and the West. And it's very important to have that support in this time of testing.
Can you tell our viewers what's happening really in Gaza ever since Israel pulled out?
Well, it had been hoped that if Israel pulls out, then theoretically the Palestinians there would say, fine, we have no more grievances with you and we'll make peace with you. The opposite has happened. Israel pulled out, the Hamas moved in, backed by Iran, and Gaza has become an Iranian base.
And you said this would happen, by the way, you know that.
Yes.
You told me that.
I think on your show.
That's right. You said this would happen.
Well, unfortunately, I was right. I wish I had been wrong, but I was right because effectively we are now seeing the tentacles, the terror tentacles of Iran trying to envelop Israel. First in Lebanon, and more so in recent days, with the creation of the Hezbollah state within a state in Lebanon. Hezbollah is a terrorist organization that has killed Americans and people of many nationalities, but has also rocketed Israel. Hezbollah is a wholly owned terror subsidiary of Iran. It used to be said that Hezbollah has a state within a state in Lebanon, Now we can say that Lebanon has a state within a state in Hezbollah land.
That's right, man.
And so Iran has one tentacle in the north. The second tentacle in the south
Sure.
is in Gaza with the Hamas proxies. And of course, we think that we have to fight and resist this, but also not, God forbid, to give them a third tentacle, a third terror base in the center of the country, in Judea, in Samaria, in the heart of Jerusalem, as some suggest. This will not bring peace close, just as the withdrawal, the unilateral withdrawals from Lebanon and from South Lebanon and from Gaza did not bring peace closer, they brought terror closer.
Well, I can tell you what, we are praying hard. This will not happen. And we're going to do everything we know how to do to stop it. Now you've got Gaza, you've got Lebanon. God forbid if something happens here. But I do want to go back to Gaza. What can Israel do now?
Well, I think it's important to change the rules. We are now engaged with Hamas in Gaza in a war of attrition. They've fired, since we left, 4,000 rockets against us. 4,000 rockets against our cities, our towns, kibbutzim. They just killed some people the other day. 4,000 rockets, about 15, 20 times the rate that they were firing before we left. So we cannot continue like this. And what we've been responding is in a way of a strategy of attrition. They fired us, we respond to them. They fired us,
But how long
we
ago?
respond to them. This will not do the job. You have to establish, change rules. And to change the rules means you have to respond much more powerfully against the Hamas regime. Ultimately, we will have to bring down this regime. We cannot afford an Iranian terror base right near the center of the country. President Mubarak of Egypt said a few weeks ago in a conversation with a Western diplomat, he said, Egypt today has a common border with Iran. He meant Gaza. Now, Egypt is several hundred kilometers away, its main population centers from Gaza. For Israel, we touch them. We touch them. We're literally adjacent to it. So I believe we will have no alternative but eventually to bring down this Hamas regime, not only to ensure our security, but also to give peace any real chance.
And Hezbollah. What can you do about Hezbollah? They're building up in Lebanon.
That's correct.
They're nearly in control now.
This is correct. In the case of Hezbollah, we have a complete violation of the Security Council resolution, which was drafted with such fanfare at the end of the Second Lebanon War. It said that Hezbollah will not be allowed to rearm. There'll be an international force there that will prevent it from doing so. Hezbollah now has 3 times the armaments and the rockets that it had before the Second Lebanon War, and much more deadlier rockets too. So obviously this is a very explosive situation.
Now, do you see another war?
Well, I hope not, because Hezbollah should realize that Israel too has learned the lessons, and that the Israeli response would be far different and more effective this time. I hope they won't put us to the test. But in many ways, that decision will be made not in Lebanon and not by Hezbollah. It will be made in Tehran.
Yeah.
Because Hezbollah is the terror arm of Iran.
Israel is being pressured now to give up more territory. And of course, we as Bible-believing Christians are screaming no. But what will Israel do? I mean, you've got a prime minister now who's really for it. You've got forces pushing. What can you, and I'm talking about Bibi, I'm talking about people that believe the way we do, what can you do to stop it?
I think in practice, there's been a shift in Israeli sentiments. When Israel pulled out of Gaza unilaterally, the majority of the public was for it. But what people have learned since is that in order to make peace, you need a peace partner, a credible peace partner. And we don't have such a partner today. The Palestinian Authority is very weak, very, very weak, and unable to control even an inch of territory. So if we pull out from Judea, Samaria, or parts of Jerusalem, God forbid, then Hamas comes in.